final bold prediction. It is about the New York Knicks. I actually really like the New York Knicks talent level. So when I say this, I almost don't know that Knicks fans are going to be disappointed, but I think that by midseason, the Knicks embrace the youth movement finally and are willing to move off of some of these veteran guys that they just kind of have. Julius Randle, Yvonne Fournier, Derrick Rose, guys like that. It's been an enormous frustration, I think, for Knicks fans that guys like Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes last year haven't gotten the opportunity necessarily to be able to just rock in the way that, their draft status, what they've shown on NBA courts has portrayed at times. I think the New York Knicks are going to be forced, because of the young guys stepping up, to move into a bit of a different era and to move into more of a youth movement where guys like Jalen Brunson will obviously be the point guard. I'm not saying they move Jalen Brunson, but it's going to be guys like Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, all of those guys. Deuce McBride gets minutes. Jericho Sims gets minutes. Mitchell Robinson continues to get minutes. Like, I think that they have to move into those guys getting the lion's share of things, as opposed to guys like Julius Randle, Yvonne Fournier, Derrick Rose, etc.
I'm worried about, like, you look at what their closing five is going to be. It's going to be Brunson, either Fournier or Grimes, maybe Barrett, Randall, and probably Robinson. That team just, I feel like, is going to be defensively limited on the perimeter, and
right.
I feel, especially with it, like, I just feel like if that closing five is struggling defensively in the fourth quarter, Tibbs is going to do something to break that up, and that's going to deflate their. And maybe he's willing to develop. I don't really think of Tom Thibodeau as a young player developer.
That's what makes it a bold prediction, Jared.
Right? It is very
the fact
bold.
that we're going youth with Tibbs.
Yeah, but either way, I feel like their win total is going to be deflated. They need
might
to
be,
trade
yeah.
Julius Randle, and I don't know why they gave Mitchell Robinson that deal when they have Obi Toppin back there. I would have much rather let that money go elsewhere and try to make Toppin into a 5. But this team, it's another team where the identity, maybe they have more of an identity than like Charlotte, but a clear direction, not really.
Yeah, I do. I think that they can embrace a clear direction pretty quickly by going toward this youth ideal, right? Like they could very easily decide, we have a direction. We have our point guard that's going to develop all of these young guys. RJ Barrett, I think, he's just continuing to get incrementally better. Every time I watch him, he gets just a little bit better. Like right now, it's like the patience on drives that I think has gotten better from what I've seen in the preseason. Obi Toppin is like taking movement threes now, by the way. Like he's actually like shooting and knocking them down. Like I don't see a way they're going to be able to keep Obi Toppin off the floor, to be honest. Like he looks so good right now that I think it's going to be really, really hard for them to be like, oh yeah, we've got, Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle and X, Y, and Z. Like we're going to make sure that Obi Toppin only gets 18 minutes where he stands in the corner like he has for a season and a half up until late last season. I think that they're just going to have to play him. He looks really good. Another like bold prediction for this could be like, they move Julius Randle midseason. I think they're almost going to have to, because like a big part of what Julius Randle gives you is just that ability to eat up possessions because of how like gifted he is as a ball handler and mismatch nightmare at the 4. But you have Jalen Brunson. You need to keep giving RJ Barrett reps and talent, and you just signed him to an extension where you have him under team control for 5 years. I think that this is just setting up for a Julius Randle trade at this point, given some of the commitments they've made in the last few months.
The funny thing is, if they had traded Julius Randle during the offseason, I would have made one of my bold predictions that RJ Barrett is an all-star, just because the amount of space it'll open up for him to drive, it'll just expand his mid-range and his attack game more, and he would just pile up enough points per game that he would be a really good candidate for it.
I think it's going to be year 5 now. RJ Barrett All-Star year 5 instead of year 4, but that's fine. RJ looks like a legit, maybe bottom end All-Star, but he looks like a top, 35 player in the league at his ceiling, I think. And that's great. And that will probably end up being maybe he ends up being more. Maybe he ends up continuing to develop positively in the same way that DeMar DeRozan did over the course of the first 8 years of his career, basically. Honestly, DeMar just keeps getting better, right? It's not even just 8 years. He keeps adding different things to his game. When he got to San Antonio, he really added the passing ability that he had kind of honed later in his Toronto career. So I don't want to limit DeMar like that, I guess, either. But, RJ has that same worker mentality that I think could lead to long-term development and success. So, yeah, I think that my prediction is that the young guys for the New York Knicks prove so good that the team ends up having to move the vets out in order to accommodate the younger guys that are on this team. And maybe it leads to the 10 seed, the 9 seed. Maybe it leads to just a more coherent direction. But I think that we look back on this Knicks season as a positive, even if they don't necessarily win more than 38 games or something like that.
That'd be amazing if Knicks fans could look at a 37-win season and be like, oh, this is a nice step in the right direction. That would be truly remarkable maturity.
Legitimately, I think if they move Randall and move Fournier and really embrace the youth movement, I think Knicks fans would really like that. I think the Knicks fans are very connected to this young group of players that they've drafted and grown with a little bit. And we have barely mentioned Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes looks really good as well. I think Knicks fans are very connected to this young group of talent. And because of that, I think they would be okay with that if that was to happen.
I mean, it would just be so exciting to see Knicks fans watch a playoff game. That would be very, very exciting.
I'd love it. That'd be great. I'm all in on Knicks fans' happiness. I really enjoy when the Knicks are good because Knicks fans are some of the craziest, best people. And again, craziest people on the planet in terms of rooting for their team. And I mean that lovingly in a really positive way.